Okay, we will call the meeting to order at 3 p.m. Clerk, has the roll been taken?
Yes, it has.
Okay, thank you. Any declarations of conflicts of interest? Seeing none. Are there any presentations or delegations? There are none on the agenda, so we'll move on. 3 is completed. We have one item for consideration today. So we'll now move to that item. We'll get a mover and a seconder to place item 4.1, the results of council workload survey, etc., on the floor, and then we will have a discussion. So I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Brenda and seconded by Virginia. All right. I guess we'll move to, I guess, would you like, yeah, let's discuss it or introduce it, I guess. In reading it, I thought it was excellent, and I came up with excellent, achieved what we were looking for. But as the chair, I will defer to the other members of the committee. Thoughts, maybe first, maybe to Anita to maybe give us a pretty couple-minute high-level overview of it and what your thoughts are from it, and then we'll go to questions.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Prang. Appreciate that. Yes, we received responses from all of the councillors to the survey that the committee had issued to them. So that was really helpful information. There were 3 appendices to the report that kind of break down the survey into different categories, one dealing mostly with the hours that are spent by councillors on various councillor activities. The second appendix is really dealing with the kinds of communication that are received from councillors or to councillors. And then the last appendix had to deal more with some of the general questions that we were interested in, or the committee was interested in from council. Of primary use, I think, in that third appendix is some other compensation suggestions that were provided by members of council for the committee's consideration. The other component of the report is the additional comparator information. It was a struggle to gather some of that information from our comparator municipalities. Every organization is busy, so we did our best to try and gather the information that we could. None of the other municipalities provide pay for attendance at meetings, and that was certainly not anything that the City of Brantford councillors were interested in. So I think we can cross that off the list, but certainly defer to the committee on their direction on that. We did take it upon ourselves, so from a staff perspective, to actually rate the job if we were to put it into the city's exempt job evaluation grid, and have come up with it at a level D. So there's a proposal in the report on perhaps a pay range and a number of hours per week that might be of interest to the committee. And Appendix D is the one that provides that additional comparator information. So I think that covers the highlights, Chair. I'll turn it back over to you, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments, Virginia?
Why was the responses anonymous?
That was the way the survey had been created. I mean, we do have the information on who said what. Chris, any thoughts?
Yes. Well, through the chair, we wanted to have a forum where councillors could speak freely. And when sending out the survey, we had indicated to them that we will generalize the questions and to capture their comments. And so that's the reason why you include their names.
Just a follow-up.
Yes,
are you able to garner from the responses then? I'm just looking to see if the newer councillors, I'm going to assume, put in more time because they always seem to get appointed to more committees and whatnot. I was just trying to fathom that out on the responses. I don't know how to say that, but.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time. The newer councillors, they volunteer to be on committees, right? So whether they want to volunteer, I think one councillor is on 19 committees. Other councillors, you know, some don't work, some work part-time. So they volunteer based on their availability to attend those committee meetings. So you'll see a range of data based on what their preference is.
Any other questions, comments? Brenda?
When in the comments, when they're asking for dedicated staff resources, are they, I guess I should go back. When counselors, like they look after their own, like emails and all of that, they don't have like an assistant. So when they're asking for a dedicated staff person, does that just mean somebody within the city that's already employed here helping them out? Like, does anybody know what that means?
Currently, we have a customer service position that is dedicated to council inquiries.
Okay.
We do not have staff who, plan meetings for the councilors, book their award events, respond to constituents.
Okay.
The councilors do have an option, and I believe we're rolling this out for, I believe it's Salesforce in the future. There is software available to councilors right now, if they like, that tracks emails, has log sheets to that effect.
Okay.
I believe when they're stating that they would like to have staff, it means additional staff who are just dedicated to their work.
Any other follow up?
Yeah, is there any plans maybe to include back in a staff person for them to assist them? Because I know there were 2 of them here when I left 6 years ago. I don't know if that was any direction that the city was taking.
Through chair, I'm not aware of any unless Anita is.
I think that's one of the potential results from our recommendations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make that recommendation to look at it maybe. Yeah.
So I guess the motion is to receive it, and then we can include some comments as well. Are there specific comments do we like? Is there a specific there's a light recommend, there's a couple, the idea of initial staff person, the Salesforce option addresses one of the ideas, the compensation ideas. Orientation is something that I think that we could make a recommendation to as well. And then ongoing PD is the sort of ideas that are there, the 4 ideas that are there that were fleshed out seem to be pretty reasonable and cost effective and efficient. And then there's a compensation level option as well that's there for us to recommend or adjust. So looking for comments and suggestions.
I have 2 pages of questions and comments.
Then let's go. Let's get rolling. Nope, that is why we exist.
Yeah. So a lot of them reference the CRM software. And again, is what you said, Chris, going to handle similar things? Like they wanted to be involved in that CRM software to track inquiries.
Yes, so through the chair, that was a program that was offered to them. Some counselors have taken a step up on that program.
Okay.
Others have not.
Okay. One of the other points was increase orientation. Can you remind me what happens? Like, I think they have is there any planning things? Like, we used to have a conference or something where training for the new counselors. Does that still happen through AMCTO or AMO or whatever?
So through the chair, there's various types of training that gets offered to members of council. Okay. There's training for budget. We have our integrity commissioner come and provide them training during their first week or second week. We have them meet with the commissioners. The commissioners provide them a package with what their department does, their strategic goals, their budget, their organizational chart. We also this year took all the counselors on a bus and provided them tours to different city facilities, as well as we have training at the water treatment plant. All those legislative required type things. So I feel like there's a pretty robust
Yeah.
orientation in place.
That's why I was kind of surprised at the comment, because I know that was in place 6 years ago, so I assumed it still was, if not more enhanced. Professional development they mentioned as well. Now their discretionary fund, I assume that's where they would get monies for any educational opportunities or development that they're looking for. Is that the idea of that? And are they aware of it, I guess, is the other question.
Yeah, through the chair. So as part of the clerk's report on communication on a weekly basis, members of council get forwarded correspondence from AMO, FCM with regards to training opportunities, and councillors are aware that those types of training activities come through their discretionary budget.
And can you remind me what their discretionary budget was again? I couldn't find it in my notes.
Through the chair, I believe it's 3,500. Anita, can you confirm that?
That sounds right, but I feel like there's a $10 amount in there, like 3510.
I think that's that would, I think we had this discussion at the last meeting, and
Yeah,
it was,
I remember.
3510 sounds about right, based on some historic precedent or something. Yeah.
And did we ever get a breakdown of who uses that and for what?
So through the chair, I believe with the agenda package, we sent out the annual report that goes to the finance committee with regards to discretionary spending.
But that only included like their phones and stuff like that.
But that, I think my understanding was the councilors, like that discretionary budget includes the councilor's office expenses, or that would be the captured piece. So,
I mean, the first one here is for Sullivan. Councilor's office expenses, he spent $13.91 of it, so he didn't spend any of his discretionary fund, or is that included in the discretionary fund?
So through the chair, the discretionary fund is exactly what it sounds like. It's discretionary, so councillors can determine to spend whatever they like coming out of that budget. There are certain councillors who have board meetings who like to order refreshments. And it's in relation to those types of expenses.
Okay, so some spend very little, some spend 2,000 or so, if that's all captured on there. Sorry, through you.
Yes.
Somebody asked about mileage reimbursement. Would that not be part of the discretionary funds as well? Would they charge back for mileage?
Yeah,
it sounds like they're not aware of some of the things that they can use their discretionary fund for, maybe. I don't know.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Yeah.
Mileage is captured in discretionary funds.
Yeah.
it's in travel.
And another one mentioned email limitations. Is that a common thing? I know I do have problems sending things through here too, if they're larger size. Is that something that the city's looking at increasing or giving more flexibility for them? Do we know?
Through the chair, I'm not aware of what specific email limitations that survey is referring to. On a corporate level, we have a certain amount of megabytes that we're able to send to the server. In addition, our IT department is able to facilitate a link with a Dropbox. However, things are changing because of the rise of cybersecurity. And so there's new processes in place, but it is possible to send large files.
Okay. And one other comment,
yes.
Responses indicated remuneration for attending meetings should not be considered. So do we know in relation to what that means? Like, are they still wanting to be paid for planning meetings, but nothing else? Was there any comments around the planning committee, I guess, is what I'm looking at, remuneration?
For the chair, there wasn't
Yeah.
any differentiation or distinction between which committees. The assumption is that the current remuneration for planning committee would exist as it is today, but nothing additional for other committee meetings or board meetings.
I think that was one of the things that we talked about at the very first, that should be a consideration as well, and whether the city needs to look at moving that planning meeting back to evenings so that we're not having that extra cost.
Beyond the scope of our responsibility, however.
Well, it's a remuneration.
Yes.
So, and this was all about councillors. Are we doing anything about the mayor? I didn't did he receive a survey, or what was the plan relating to the mayor and his remuneration?
Well, through the chair, the mayor did not receive, well, I think he received the survey. He did not complete it because it was more focused on councillors. Sorry, I'm going to have to.
So much going around. Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago. Kidding. No, a couple of weeks ago. We're fine.
My apologies, committee.
No problem. Take care of yourself.
Yes. One of the first elements of the committee review was some of the comparator information for the mayor's salary as well as councillors. And the mayor's salary appeared to be in line with the other municipalities. So there's been nothing further done with that particular salary.
When you did a job evaluation review for councillors, was the mayor included in that? Curious.
I believe it is. I think the mayor is a member of council, so that's certainly open to the committee to take a look at.
I have others just relating to the salary. Let somebody else have a chance.
Anybody, any questions from our other attendee up there?
Yes, the one thing I was just wondering was, is there a way to...
Sorry, we've lost your, you're not clear there.
Or confirm anything that people are voluntarily given in terms of information? Because I mean, the answer.
So we've lost your connection's a little, it's quite poor.
Kind of came in as expected. Is there about that? Can you hear me now?
That's more clear, yes. So can you repeat your question?
Just wondering if there's a way we can confirm or staff, because these answers are coming in as expected, right?
So we're still not clear on your question.
28 hours per week is what we expect. Is there a way that...
Still not clear exactly what your question is because you're cutting out. Maybe if you turn off your video, that might help. I don't know.
Sorry, my internet connection is very poor. Sorry,
yes.
I'm on a construction site. Quality is kind of poor here.
Can you repeat your question? Yeah, we can't hear you now. So what if you try turning off your video and try to turn off your video, see if we can just capture the audio of your question. Just hit it right on. My question is this.
Can we confirm the quality of work being done within these 28 hours per week? Is there a way we can confirm that. That's, I guess, not really a question. I'm just trying to open the table up to that conversation.
I think well, I have an opinion, but thoughts from the floor committee, I mean, staff, on quality of work being done on the hours of work. Brenda?
Chair, I don't even know how we would even do that.
I think the evaluation of counselors are done on a quarter or every 4 years.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's really the best answer to that question. Every 4 years, or social media, or people complaining. I don't think that. I think we're just looking at remuneration rather than performance evaluations. I guess it's a whole other matter.
Okay. Yeah. No, fair enough.
So any additional questions? Virginia, you mentioned you still had some on the.
Yeah, just on the salary portion. Anita, have you done the math about what increase they've seen based on the non-union salary increases since that bylaw came into effect? Because they have had increases throughout the years.
Yeah, so the honorarium bylaw indicates that they would get the same percentage increase that's given to the exempt group. And so those have been given by and large. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Poor girl.
Points for even trying.
Yeah. And of course, all the questions are for her.
So sorry.
No,
problem.
don't be sorry.
I think there might have been 1 or 2 years where they declined getting that percentage adjustment, but for the most part, those adjustments have been given.
Do we know what the overall percentage was that they received?
No, not the overall percentage. How far back were you interested in going,
Well,
Virginia?
that bylaw, 2014, when the bylaw came into effect.
So
I
the
guess
2014? Okay.
But yeah, well,
Yeah. I guess my other, throughout your last reports, you stated often that 24 hours of work or less is a part-time employee. Yet your possible recommendation is that they be based on a 25-hour per week. So does that put them as full-time employees if we do that?
Chair. It would not put them at full-time employees. It's simply in hours of work. They are not employees of the city. That was just a comparison. So it's up to the committee whether it's 25 hours, 24 hours, 30 hours. That's really a committee decision to make.
And then you suggested within that level D, step 2 or 3 range, step 3. So that puts them, so we're kind of lowering their salary per hour based on what we had before, but increasing the number of hours. That's the thought.
mm-hmm.
So I think I worked it out. I'm not good at math though, that it'd be a 17% increase. The difference is about $6,400 for honorariums alone. Is that what you had, Anita? About 17% increase if we went there?
For the chair, I did not calculate it on a percentage increase basis. I was looking at the municipal comparators to determine what might be reasonable with respect to other municipal elected officials, municipal councillors. I'll take your word for it if it's 17%.
Don't take my word. I'm horrible at math, but yeah. Looks like about, yeah, $6,400 difference from what they are now. Okay.
Are we satisfied with the candidates that we have running for council based on the current compensation?
Yeah, that's impossible to judge.
Uh-huh.
And how did we get away from not providing the increases January the 1st? How did that happen?
Through the chair, the honorarium is written that the increases are effective December 1st. My understanding is that was when council used to take office. The clerk can probably confirm that. That has, I think in the last election, maybe in 2 elections ago, that was moved up to, I believe it's the middle of November. And the election takes place at the end of October. So yeah, that's where the December timeframe was indicated.
I think it makes sense to move it to January 1st for sure. That
So, I mean, I certainly have a motion in mind,
Okay.
but I can't make it as chair, but I can offer an idea that somebody else can move and second.
Well, we haven't heard your opinion, Chair.
Well, my opinion would be that our recommendation is that we three parts here. We increase the number of hours to 25 hours a week at the mid-range level D level at 3271, so that the based on this recommendation, January 1st, 2025, the new level for counselors would be 25 hours a week, 3271 per hour, for a total financial, I guess, compensation at 42,523, and that moving forward the adjustments occur on January 1st.
Are you suggesting that the adjustments would be similar to the non-union? What happens now?
Yes. And that at this point we don't. I mean, I think ongoing professional development could be. I mean, I think the 4 recommendations could be captured as well for council to consider, but I'm not sure that we're in a position to or council and staff to consider additional orientation for new counselors, ongoing professional development. I think the Salesforce CRM software is in progress and available, and the dedicated staff person position is an interesting option, but I think that would it certainly involves remuneration, but it is a much bigger, like that would be a $60,000 to $70,000 additional contribution to this piece, as opposed to 6,000 times. So I guess it's the $60,000 adjustment anyway, $60,000 or $70,000 adjustment anyway. So doubling that with the staff person is I'm just guessing from an HR perspective what the skill set and total compensation involved for a dedicated staff support person. That's interesting skill set as well, probably through the clerk's office as well. But anyways, that would be a separate discussion. So I'm sure any of those ideas that would be curtail that into a motion. Anybody? You like it? Adjustments? I can't make the motion. You want to make a decision?
Brenda?
Yes. Well, I was sort of thinking along the 25-hour mark anyway. They all seem to indicate that would be that's what they would like to see. I don't think they need that.
No.
For the rate, I'm okay with that too.
Maybe that's our first motion. 24 hours at that level.
25 hours.
They're 25. Yeah.
Okay, so line 1 would be our recommendation is that increase hours 25 a week with rate
Based on step 3 of level D
to step 3 of level D.
Wage grid.
Exempt wage grid. Do we like the January 1st date?
Yes.
On Jan 1st. Okay. So moved by Virginia and seconded by Brenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to incorporate into that the non-union exempt group increases apply as well. Is that going to be a separate motion?
I think we can go back and say non-union exempt group increases apply moving forward. Is that clear enough for you to?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're receiving it. We've got this recommendation. Is there also an interest of the improved orientation for new counselors and additional professional development?
Maybe I can move that staff investigate. So staff investigate, dedicated staff support in the future. I don't know how you want to manage that to assist. And I don't know how you say it without saying, look, guys, we have this available to you. So, you know, if you need extra help. So the CRM as well, that staff have an education piece to all counselors, that CRM is available to them, orientation, ongoing professional development. I don't know how you would word that, but
what appears from the comments that, you know, if there's $3,500 available and the majority of counselors are only using like less than 2,000,
yeah, most of them are.
that they're complaining about stuff that they could take action on to address themselves. But
Yeah.
the capacity, it's likely a time limited capacity in terms of their ability to do so. So I think, you know, it looks like there's additional, the exception of a couple of counselors that are spending that. They're not using the funds. They're not using the funds, the resources that are available to them to address some of the complaints that they're complaining.
I don't know how you put that politely, but yeah.
Encourage. So how about this for the third bullet? So we've got first one is the increased hours. Second one is staff more fully investigate the costs associated with a dedicated staff support person. And third, counselors are encouraged to use their allocated budgets towards professional development and training.
Use of CRM and whatnot. Yeah.
And so moved by Brenda and seconded by Virginia. The third piece there. Any additional recommendations? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. 4.1 A and B are carried. Mr. Clerk. On to 5 consent items. May I get a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of May the 8th? Moved by Brenda and seconded by Virginia. Any discussion on the minutes? Any opposed to the motion? It is carried. We have no resolutions today. There are no notices of motion, and the meeting is now adjourned. Will we have a fourth meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens next with all of this?
So through the chair, we will bring forward part of the recommendations for staff to provide this committee with a future report with the recommendations that were carried. At that point in time, we'll review the report, move it for amended, and then we'll have a recommendation to disband and
Okay. So we disband before it's forwarded to the council.
you would have a recommendation just that you've reached your mandate and that you'd like for council to disband the committee having fulfilled their mandate.
Okay.
And then we'll get brought forward to committee of the whole in the administration meeting. We'll deliberate and get it ratified by the council.
Okay.
Do we have or I guess with the committee disbanded that we no longer exist, so we would go to council
You could definitely go to council. You could speak to the report. You could probably submit a delegation request and delegate to council and provide a summary of the journey that you've been on and the recommendations and how you came forward to those recommendations that you're providing to council.
Okay.
Did we do a mistake there for when the salary increase was? Because it's for the new council, not starting 2025.
Right.
Correct?
Correct. So I said January. I think the final motion was January 1st, period, as opposed to setting the date to it.
Because it's not for this council in office now, it's for the next one, if I'm not mistaken.
Through the chair, that's correct, Virginia. We would likely pay the new council at the current rate, and then as of January 1st of 2027, I guess is the time frame, is when that new increase or adjusted rate would be implemented.
So then that changes a little bit, that we should sort out their increases January 1st now.
I don't think we don't, but we don't have the mandate to do the current council, do we? No.
No, okay,
No,
so
we
then
can't,
everything would happen starting
Everything would happen
January
with the next council, yeah.
27.
Yeah.
Wow, that seems so
Ahead of
far
time, I know.
ahead. Wow, it'll be here before you know it, but yeah. Yeah, because it's not for this council.
Right. We'll have 2 elections between now and then.
Yes.
We'll have 2 elections between now and the election of the next council.
Yes, and I'm involved in both of them. So is the committee satisfied not to review the mayor's salary at all? That was one of my questions.
Well, I think we
make a suggestion. Sorry, Chair. If you want to go back to one of the previous reports, I think it might have actually been the first report that provided information on the comparator salaries for the mayor. You could take a look there and see if any adjustments are required. And maybe we can address that at the next meeting.
I think, I didn't bring my past history and stuff, but I think my memory is the same as that we weren't so worried about the mayor was competitive in the process, and it was the councillors, and the mayor's got the unusual job of being.
Yes, however, in speaking to the mayor, was hopeful that we were going to look at. Just putting that out there. Just putting it out there. So yeah, it might be something at the next meeting just to make sure. Well, the current and the one that's hoping to get in.
Let's put it on the agenda that we'll have the mayor's
just let's make sure
salary. Yeah,
that should probably be one of our recommendations, that it continue the mayor's honorarium.
The mayor's honorarium continues at the same.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is our expected timeline for next steps then?
Through the chair, I believe we meet quarterly, right?
Yes. So it would be November, December.
So I could be in touch with you and we can sort out a date just in the future.
Sounds good.
Typically Thursdays around this time work for everybody.
Yes.
I could be in touch and we can work out some dates.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, everybody.
So councillors' remunerations were 28,000 in 2014, so they're now 36,000. Our report cannot say that they have not received increases.
An increase, yes.
Because they have. It's just not been.
Yes.
Just saying.
Well, and I think they turned down I think we saw that in one of the early reports. They turned down.
Well, they turned.
Yeah. But I think we're seeing with, and I'm by no means an expert, but just in my own working experience, that if you don't pay, then you don't get.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, it's not a job I would want. I'm sure they have to deal with a lot of nasty
still rolling
stuff.
though, so we're still recording.
Yes. Okay. We are adjourned. Yeah. So clerk, please end the recording. Thank you.